here. I think I got this set up right. Yeah, every time's an adventure. Got the radio here. Nobody's joined yet. Let's see here. I guess I'm pretty much right on time. There we go. There's somebody. Hello. Hey, how's it going, Robin? General Lee, how you doing, man? Look at all these people piling in here. Glad to see everybody. I hope the software's set up right. The computer crashed about 2 weeks ago, and I've reinstalled everything, so hopefully it's all working the way it was last time around. Going good. It's another wonderful weekend here at Farpoint Farms. We've had a little bit of rain today, but I've been out doing work. I actually had to do some work on the tractor today. And so I just got out of the shower, but ready to rock and roll, and we'll do this thing. Got the radio hooked up. And what's going on, brother? Top the evening. Hey, look at all these people piling in. 20. This is pretty good. I was wondering if I'd have enough people here. You know, last time being the first time I did it, I figured there would be some people who were kind of curious to see what was going on. But I'm glad that looks like we're going to have a good crowd again tonight. Hello from Georgia. How's mountain life? Mountain life's great. It's been super cool here. Temperature's been real low, like low 70s, no humidity. It's been awesome. I have been really busy with projects, as you've seen over the last couple of months, so I'm a little tired, but I'm ready to do this thing. Look at all these people coming in. I was hovering in the other feed. Yeah, I don't know. I tried to set up the other feed, and it said something about being Google Hangouts, so I don't know what was going on there, Jason, but Brian. Oh, there's Rooster. How you doing, man? Good to see you back again. What's happening with the Yugo? Well, I'll tell you what's happening with the Yugo. The Yugo is living up to the Yugo name brand. That's what's happening with the Yugo. I spent a lot of time over the winter and a good amount of money fixing that car up. But about every time I drive it, something else pops up out of the woodwork. The latest thing to happen was I took my wife for a spin in it. We went out on Saturday afternoon and went driving around town. Got back and went this morning to head out, and the pedal went to the floor. I was like, what the heck's going on? So the master cylinder is leaking on it. So I've replaced like calipers, rebuilt the calipers, new pads, new wheel cylinders. So it's like, well, I only have one part left to fail. So there you go. That's a Yugo. But in Yugo's defense, the car is like 30 some odd years old. So any car is about due for a master cylinder to fail. So parts are on order all the way from the former Yugoslav Republic. So we'll see when that gets here. Oh, man. We got all kinds of stuff here. I'm trying to keep up. I talk so much. This guy's vegan driver. You're down there by Yadkinville. That is like maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours from me. That's not too far. You're out in Minnesota. I'll be popping in there. Cool, man. Glad to hear that. Look at this guy. Do any donuts in the Yugo? No. That thing has about 40 horsepower max. And I've at first I built it where I did all the emissions controls and made it about as stock as you could get it. And it was so gutless that I had to go back and kind of delete some of that stuff. I kept it all, so it keeps its value, hopefully. But, yeah, I had to go, do some minor mods, just try to get enough power to get up the hills out here. I'm sure down in the flatlands it's probably fine, but some of these hills around here, man, it just suffers. What do we got here? 980 SSB, it's on right now. It'll be brand new when I get done. You're right, Rooster. It will be. Unfortunately, my wallet will be about empty too, but I'm definitely putting in the effort for it. Okay, Fred and everyone else, and I'm sure I'll mention this a couple of times. You saw the part one of the tower project. Yes, the antenna's up, and it's kind of a sore spot right now. So what a project. That thing is a monster. It was really difficult to get up, and it got it all the way up. Now, I'm not stupid. Well, I probably am stupid, but I'm not that stupid. But when I had it hooked up, I had the antenna at about a 22-degree angle, ran the cable in through the garage here and tested it with the SWR meter. It was beautiful. It was like 1.1 sitting that close to the ground. So I thought, hey, okay, we're ready to go. We get this thing all the way up into position, put all the supports into place. I come in here, and it's putting a 9 on the SWR, so it's ruined. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. I thought I must have pinched the cable, which I mentioned, I think, in one of my videos. So I checked it all the way up to where I couldn't reach anymore, and everything looked okay. Took the dang thing down, all the way back down. Took the cable off, swapped it out with another cable, checked the SWRs, A-okay. I'm like, I'll go with the older cable. I put the whole thing back up. And we're talking a 3 or 4 hour process. even the second time when we kind of knew what we were doing. Get it all the way back up. SWR's back up to 9. So what's going on is there is something loose or rattling or broken inside of the iMax. And when it's laying, this way, it's fine. But when it goes vertical, whatever piece it is touches and shorts it out, and it's not working. That's the bad news. The good news is I had a little foresight in my brain, and since the Antron was working fine and this tower was kind of three-pronged, if you saw the video, I decided to mount the Antron over to the left. So it's about at the same height and position that it was before. So tonight we'll be talking skip on it. I've got some paperwork back and forth I've got to go through with the owners of SolarCon now, which I can't remember the name of the parent company, but hopefully they'll hook me up. If anyone knows, or can help me out with that, that'd be great, because it has been 91 days when I filed the claim, and it's a 90-day return policy. So I'm super bummed, and it was a lot of time and effort spent, but that's life. Let's see. I've been talking so much I haven't seen anything. Watch A Tale from the Bosnian War here on YouTube. Okay, cool. I'll check that out for the Yugo stuff. Kind of sad that we blew up the factory. California sucks. I know I'm here. I didn't know you were all the way from out there. Hello from Indiana, Drunk Outlaw. Barry, also in Kentucky. He's got a 980 there. Brian. Is the Yugo my primary vehicle? No, thankfully, no. I do drive junk cars. I know I'm a mechanic. Generally speaking, mechanics tend to drive junky cars because we get them, when somebody decides, oh, it's too expensive to fix something, I'll pick a car up for $200 or $300, basically scrap value, fix it up and drive it for a few years. That's the case. I actually have quite a few cars, if you've ever seen, in the background of my videos. None of them are newer than 2002 right now. Most of them date back to the 90s. But that's just what mechanics do. I wouldn't recommend a non-mechanic driving around in something like this or anything made before probably 2005 at this point. But so no, Mr. Parker's not. I am talking. Let's see. We got hello from Mississippi. Good to hear from you guys. Drives a beat up 2002 Ranger. Good deal on that. No, I already got an engine swapped in. Generally, I put the engine in this over the winter, and it's already the upgraded 1.3 liter, but it's still gutless. I mean, it's just gutless. It's just the way it is. Maybe if I could do like a fuel injection conversion, I might be able to squeeze some energy out of it, but probably not. Oh, what happened? Oh, for a second there, everything disappeared. Love the CB videos. Glad to hear it, Ham Talker. I'm kind of really surprised. This was really more of like a homesteading channel when it started off, but it's my hobby. I thought it was like my own hobby. No one else cared about it, but I did make that Beginner's Guide to CB Radio video, and even now it's probably the second or third most popular video on my channel. So I've made more, lots more. I think probably there's 60 videos up there right now. So I really love the fact that there's people out there that are still into the hobby. You hear folks locally and definitely on Skip, but you get the impression there's just not a lot of us left. But with the response I've gotten on a lot of these videos, I guess that's not the case. InnoVision, you got an 88 MR2. That's the old square body style. That's a really cool little car. Like you drive junk cars too. Yeah, you're right, Rooster. It totally is, man. Car payments suck. I'd rather have a car and drive it for 6 months and have it destroyed and then just go buy another one that's cheaper than car payments. No CB in the Yugo. I might put that Cobra 75WX in there. How are the radios? Josh is asking, how are the radios in the yard sale you found? Well, Josh, so far what I've played with, and I've actually got one of them hooked up right here. I've got the scanners, those 3 scanners that look so old and so beat up and so crazy, like worn out. They're crystal scanners, to give you an idea how old they are, crystal controlled. And so you had to go out and buy the crystals for the radio. But would you believe that they not only work, but the channels that the police and the sheriff and the fire and all that stuff use around here haven't changed much over the last 20 years, as they're handwritten on the back of what they were. And out of the 8 channels on the one of them, 6 of them are still in use. So I hooked it up to the 2-meter antenna that I have here, and I'm listening to it right now. I've got it on there on the sheriff's channel. It's great. So those are working pretty well. The other 2 do work. The really nice, the more modern synthesized controlled one, it needs a little bit of work. The volume control's a little screwy on it. As far as the base stations, the Cobra 135, which is really the nice one, it works pretty good. Again, I cleaned the switches on it, and I've made a video on that. It does have, I think, a bad trace in it somewhere, or some solder joint must be coming and going, because sometimes it'll work great for hours. Other times it'll be working great, and then the audio cuts out and it goes to kind of like just dead, like it's not receiving well. and then you key the mic once or twice and things go back to normal. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. The Lafayette I haven't played with. The Pace definitely has issues. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fix that one or not. And what was the other one? Royce. That Royce 40 channel is in mint condition. Works great. Love that little radio. And I haven't played with the Radio Shack Mobile one yet. But the mic works well as well. Really a great deal, guys. Oh, gosh, man. All you guys are talking. I'm having a hard time keeping up. Dual Geo Metro owner here. Metros rock, man. I think next year I might try to find a Metro convertible and make that my winter restoration project. Those things are fun. Canada's calling. Cool, man. Good to hear from you. How long have I had the Yugo? Diecast Cars wants to ask. I bought this last, I think it was early October. Spent the whole winter pulling the motor, interior out of it, fixing it up, and putting it back together. I got a whole series on that if you want to check it out. Fat Boy Racing says he's been ratchet jumping since 78. No amps for sale, bro. Now, I do have that tube amp that came with this latest acquisition I got, but I haven't tested it yet. I doubt it works, but it's pretty cool looking. What do I think of the Holden? That's an Australian car. I'm not too familiar with those other than I know what a Holden is, but you need to recap the XLR. Okay. Well, good advice. Thank you, man. I could definitely do that. I'm handy with a soldering iron. I don't have a scope, so when it comes to aligning and stuff like that, it's out of my league. Do I have an opinion on the Realistic 24C? I don't know it off the top of my head, but if I could pull a picture up, and I can't do that with the computer on right now, I could probably tell you all about it. Yeah, the 3 cylinders Rooster, definitely awesome. Mark wants to know, I had an awesome 95 memo. Still, yeah, I mean, that's what blows me away. Mark, you get these cars from the early 90s that get like 45, 46, 47 miles a gallon. Heck, the Honda CRX HF, which was like their ultra fuel economy model, got like 52 miles a gallon out of a standard 4-cylinder back in the late 80s. And you can't tell me that they got to build a car that doesn't have battery packs and hybrid this and hybrid that can't get that same kind of mileage. I don't understand it. But the Metros are great cars. It's getting to be a real shame that they're getting to be hard to find. But if I get a good, clean one, especially a convertible, I think it'd be a great, fun car. And I probably would make that my daily driver. The Kubota does probably have more horses than that Yugo. Certainly got more torque. Geo sip the gas. My Grand Cherokee. Yeah, Grand Cherokees. Hate to hate on Jeeps, but no love for them. I work on them, and I'm not a fan. They say the old camera. Okay, so Cobra capacitor's drying out. Southern Illinois is just letting me know. See you, Diecast Garage. Thanks for stopping in, man. Let's see. Do you use a mini DV cam? I bought a camera for out here, the garage cam, as I call it. It's called a Papa Look. It was, Chinese, I don't know what you want to call it. Just not a very fancy camera. I actually kind of thought maybe it would be a higher quality. It seems like, a lot of jitter, and I don't know if that's just a bandwidth issue or whatnot, but it was about $30. Comes with a built-in mic, and I hope it's working good enough to get my point across tonight. Yeah, you're right, Mark. It doesn't make any sense. I could go on for hours about that, but like I'm all about like a simple car because I happen to work on them, and I know the more sophisticated, the more stuff breaks. But you can't find a stripped-down model car. You go to a dealership, and of course, I've never owned a new car, but you go down there nowadays, and they don't stock them. They don't want to sell them. They don't want to have them, and people don't really buy them. But although there's a group of us like myself who prefer them, it just seems like it's a dying thing. Power everything is the way to go. Heath, good to see you, man. Are you going to the Waynesville Hamfest next weekend? I had no idea there was a Hamfest in Waynesville next weekend. Let me write that down, and I'll see if I can do that. Yeah, my memory is a piece of paper. I have no memory. Waynesville. I'll look that up when we get done tonight, and I'll let you know, my friend. Just tune in. How's the radio doing? The radio is great. The antenna's not doing so good, Phil. I'll go over it again. What's up with gas mileage? Man, you ain't kidding, Rooster. It's just, I don't know. Old scanners, Regency brand scanners. I'm not like a professional radio fixer. I can take them apart. I can clean the dials and stuff like that. A lot of times if they're scratchy or they don't want to hit a channel, that usually fixes them up. If they have a blown capacitor that's obvious, if the top's popped off, I can unsolder and solder a capacitor. And I'm really good at getting out my magnifying glasses and going in there with a flashlight and finding broken solder joints. And that fixes a lot of the problems with radios. But if it's a blown final or some kind of alignment issue or it's out of tune, it's beyond my skill set. But 99% of the radios that got put away when the hobbies kind of started to fade out, they didn't have major problems. Those got tossed in the trash. So most of the radios you find are in decent shape. Let's see here. Can Cobra 9? Yeah, of course. Train Man, the Cobra 29 is probably one of the biggest radios sold. I mean, it's like, I'd say it's probably the most popular radio on the market right now. It has been probably for the last 20 years. And certainly it's great for talking skip. Ham is in Pork Rooster. No, ham is in radio. Conditions. You're right. Let's see. Metros pop up regular in Central NC Craigslist. Yeah, I looked for now and again. It's just, right time. You got to have the right time to pick one up. General Lee, what about the 69 Charger? Those cars right. No kidding, buddy. If you think I have the money to put into a real restoration like a Mustang or a Camaro or what of that, man, and no way, Jose, I can't touch it. Can't even afford one that's rusted out, and in boxes and boxes of pieces. Marky, let's see here. Have you heard any chatter on that nifty DMR? Half tempted to grab a digital radio, but don't know many folks that use them. Some law enforcement agencies do. Even around here, it's all still analog, which I was surprised when I hooked up those scanners that everybody was still chatting. And not even like trunk mode. They're just straight up analog, which is cool because I can listen to all that stuff. The DMR radio, overall, I give it like a B-. My problem up here is that ham radio, or 2 meter at least, and 10 meter are very not popular. So I have picked up an analog conversation with the new 2 meter directional antenna that I have. And I haven't tried to hit the repeaters because I've just been too busy. But as far as digital mode, I have not. I went to town a few times with the radio where I'd be closer to the digital repeater that's in town, but nothing. So I've not been really able to play with that digital mode stuff other than programming it. And, so I really can't comment anymore on that. I'm happy with the radio. I'm glad to have a chance to play with it. But as far as the digital mode stuff, I guess I'm just an old timer. I'm having some learning curve issues with it. Can the train man wants to know if a unit in Pro 505? Sure. Any CB can do skip. Skip has to do with up there, the sky, and just conditions in the atmosphere. So any radio is capable of talking skip. Let's see here. What are your thoughts on the Galaxy 949? I wish I could afford one. That's what my thoughts are. Muscle cars never depreciate. You're right. And my problem is I got a soft spot for like weird 80s cars because that was kind of when I was growing up. That was what was cool to me. And so a lot of the cars I do fix up, I don't make a killing on. When it's time to get rid of the Yugo, I hope to maybe make $500 or maybe $1,000 on it, but I don't have any illusions. Now I've been messing with the 70s Volkswagens, which I did last year, and I've done a lot of those. Things are going up in value, but they're becoming classic cars. I mean, a 74 model Super Beetle, that's a pretty darn old car. So yeah, I know to get a real classic car is a bigger investment, but you should get a bigger return. And no one ever called me financially wise. Hello from Texas. How you doing, man? Do you recommend for a base station? I got to say, as far as base stations go these days, I'm really aiming towards getting yourself a small power supply and getting that Uniden 980 SSB. I can't speak highly enough. I've had so much fun with this radio. The receive is so much more sensitive than my old Uniden Grant, which is funny because that's what I heard was not the case with these radios. But this was a used radio. It's not been messed with in any way, but it is just awesome. I love it. 75 Royce 23 channel. It still works great for local stuff. That Royce is a well-built radio, beautiful wooden cabinet. All the lights and meters still work. Really like that thing. Am I going to bring out more of the garden tractors? Yes. I have done some, man, this summer is a little different than last summer. It's been a lot more busy with the garage edition that I've been doing, regular gardening, regular farming, and trying to get this tower built and doing all this stuff kind of on my own personal deadlines because I have some personal issues that are coming up real soon. I haven't had a whole lot of time to make like demonstrational videos, stuff like that. For instance, today on the Kubota, I had to remove the axle and replace the HST, the hydrostatic transmission fan. And there's just 2 videos online that cover it. But I felt I could do it better because as a mechanic, maybe I could explain it a little easier. The fact is, though, I just didn't have time to get the camera out and take care of all that. It's a process to hold the camera in the right angle when you're doing mechanical work, and it ended up not happening. And so a lot of what's going on here this summer is unfortunately getting missed just due to time constraints. And I'm sorry for everyone who comes to my channel for tractor videos or lawn implement stuff, or even the farming, because there's a lot of farming going on here day to day that just doesn't get covered because I'm too busy doing it to tape it. And that's kind of a bummer, but hopefully that'll change. The Chevy Chevette. Now, there is a Econo box that I wasn't too fond of. Rear wheel drive, though, I did see people put bigger motors in them and do all kinds of crazy stuff, but they were a little rough. Pre-64 air cooled. Yeah, no doubt, dude. How does the 980 SSB compare to the President McKinley? Not having owned a President McKinley, I can only speculate, but both are very high quality radios. I think the McKinley is more easily modified, which is not something I really get into, but that's probably about all I could tell you about it. Hi, can I hook up my 400 watt amp to my Galaxy? Is it legal? If not, it's not legal to hook up an amplifier. As to whether anyone cares anymore, probably not. I tried to make a video covering amplifiers, and there was one guy who did care. So you won't see any amplifier-specific CB radio videos on my page. One jerk is all it takes to ruin everything. So, yeah, you can do it. You do it. You probably don't need to do it. But if you want to do it, hey, go for it. Let's see. Florisha, your channel has been very helpful in my introduction. Uh-oh, I lost you. Let me go. Introduction to CB and the installation of the Jeep. Well, I'm glad to hear it, man. I hope I can help other people out with that stuff. Hello from Arkansas. I always say Arkansas, but it's Arkansas. Cool little Kubota. I love that Kubota. The Big Dig project, which is how my garage extension took place. Couldn't have done it without it. In fact, putting that tower up, I couldn't have done it without that Kubota. I used both garden tractors. One I had to use as a weight, really like drove it over that frame that I built and parked it on that to use it as kind of a counterweight. And the other one I used to raise it up. But even I got to a point where it was losing traction because of the weight involved. So I held it, hooked up the Kubota, and used it to pull it the rest of the way up. So I do love that thing. Deplorable NC Prepper, I'm good to see you, man. The 980 is a great radio. The only downside is the stock mic. Well, I agree. So I took care of that. I resoldered the connections on this Radio Shack power mic, which is actually a Turner S3 here too as well. And I've got that hooked up tonight for Talk and Skip. And I love it. The combination seems to work really well. Let's see what else we got here. You have a Galaxy Saturn. Anything from the Galaxy brand is pretty good stuff. That's pretty much. I've never had the money to own one. I've never come across one in the wild. Well, I have seen them in the wild, but they're always very expensive, so I've never bought them. Jason wants to ask Eric, small but okay, not such attainable idea. The 1958 Plymouth Fury is the next project car. I had a friend who had a Fury, Plymouth Grand Fury 3. That was a big old bruiser. Closest I've come to that is I had a Dodge Dart, a 69 Dodge Dart when I was growing up, and it was also a bruiser. You could dance on the hood of that thing. I know because I did it maybe with a little alcohol in me. And, yeah, you couldn't dent that thing, man. It was great. In the event of emergency, SSB or ham? Both, bro, both. Local communications, CB radio is where it's going to be when the grid goes down. And I know this from experience because I was around in 96 when Hurricane Fran came through North Carolina. All phone, all power, everything was down for, in our area, it was 2 weeks. And if it hadn't been for CB radio, which I only had, I had a base station that was AM only, and I had a base station that was AM only in the car, or I mean, a mobile in the car. If it hadn't been for those two, I never would have known where to go get fresh water, where to go get gas and ice and things like that, which stores were opening with generators, where, I mean, it was a real genuine emergency. So, and I was caught unprepared. I was young, and it taught me a lot about prepping, I guess you would call it, or survivalism, whatever you want to call it. But it made me understand that communication in a time of need is an important thing. So both, ham is more of a long distance communication, at least on most bands. So you can hear in a national emergency, you might be able to get better information that way. Marshall wants to know, do you have a group of locals that you talk to on CB, or do you mainly rely on Skip? I would say it is 30-70. There is two groups of locals that talk in the area. Both the groups are made up of relatively old timers, as I like to call them. And some people would consider me to be an old timer, but these guys are probably in their 70s. Some are pushing 80. And they're mostly old farmers. They get together and chat, and sometimes I'll join in on those conversations. They're all very pleasant when I do. But for the most part, they get together on Fridays and Saturdays, sometimes Sundays, about 8 o'clock. Most of the time, though, I'm on sideband. I love 38 lower sideband. There's sometimes you get a jerk or two on there, but most of the time not. And As far as 23 channel radios, you can get on channel 20 a lot of times and 16, and there's sideband stuff going on there if the skip's not rolling too hard. We're Chicago and check the thrift stores, man. You ain't kidding. Look at all the deals I've gotten. Channel 6 is man-made. Yeah, that's crazy. We won't get into the Super Bowl. Ever since you sold your unit in Washington, the unit in Washington was a great radio. It was my first genuine base station. I'm going to take a sip of water here. Hold on. I got it from a fellow CBer back in the day. It had extras. It had uppers and lowers, and it had been peaked and tuned, put out about 18 watts on AM, which is pretty powerful for its time. And I had that hooked to a Radio Shack. I think it was the equivalent of the Shakespeare Big Stick. That was a great radio. It did die a slow death, though. Eventually capacitors dry out. I think on that one, actually what killed it in the end was one day I had it on, and all of a sudden it shut off, and that was the power supply. So unless I ran it off with a 12 volt, it wouldn't come back to life. But is it better or worse than the unit in 980? I'm going to say it's not as good a radio as the unit in 980. But here's why. So some people are going to be like, tell me this is just blasphemous. Those older radios are great because they're easily modified. So if you're into uppers and lowers and peaking and tuning, yeah, they're probably a better radio. But as far as sensitivity of receive and just overall quality, right now, I'd say this radio puts it to shame. So that's what I'll say about that. I did like the look of it, though, man. That meter was so cool. Yeah, receive. The 980 is super quiet. It's great. The sound floor is so low on that thing. You can pick up all kinds of crazy stuff. Mike, you're building your own tower? Good luck, my man. I'm having a great time with mine. What does my wife think of my YouTube channel? At first, she thought I was crazy, and then I started to actually get $100 a month or something like that in revenue off of it. Now she thinks I'm crazy, but she's okay with it because it pays money. So, plus, I spend the money from my YouTube income, which, like I said, it's usually like $80 to $100 a month or something like that, and I put it towards these cool projects. So, like when I went out and bought these radios here, that's kind of like reinvesting into the channel. So at least I'm not taking money out of our joint accounts or whatnot. So Lincoln City, Oregon. You know what, man, Rooster, used to live out in Oregon near Eugene. And I got to say the Goodwills out in Eugene and out in Oregon, period, are the best Goodwills ever. They're huge. March, take care, man. It's good talking with you. March Transportation says he'll see you next time. Do I work on Chevy Diesels? Man, I hope not unless I have diesel engines, just because they require some special tools. I've got the talent, but I don't have the tools. If I need to, I can do mechanical work on it. But when it comes time to diagnosing issues or big projects, I'm not taking the cab off of Ford Super Duty, that kind of stuff. So let's see here. Where I live in Southern California, CB is very active. I was surprised in my activity when I set up a base. Cool, man. I'm glad to hear that. They prefer more modifiable radios. Yeah, vegan driver. That's pretty much it. The old timers want to be able to play with stuff. Plus fixing, like that Cobra 135 that I got a couple weeks ago or last weekend. I can unsolder pieces without much technical knowledge. If I can use a soldering iron and get pieces in and out of that thing, where if I were to open up this one, this is all what's called surface mount technology. There's no, somebody might be able to repair it, but pretty much they're designed to be tossed when they break. So that they definitely have going the older radios. I'm reading some of these things. You guys want to try to talk Skip? Who wants to try to talk Skip? Let's see here. I'm going to turn it on. Actually, I've already got it on, but I'm turning it up a little bit. I am on channel 39 lower sideband. Let's see if anybody can hear me. You ready? 39 lower sideband. I'll give you guys a second to get it on. Oh, you don't have sideband? Well, we'll Hand Talker 07. We'll go on AM here in a little bit. All right, here we go, guys. Hope you're ready for it. Hey, this is Farpoint Farms in the mountains of North Carolina. Farpoint Farms 707, trying for a break. Earlier today, I had someplace in Italy. It was crazy. CQDX. This is Farpoint Farms 707 in the mountains of North Carolina, trying for a break. Nobody. Not hitting NC, huh? Well, we'll give it a few minutes. Try again. Yeah, actually, it's really quiet. Earlier, boy, it was chatting up a storm when I came out here about 7 o'clock. Why 707, Marshall? Well, I had it out as an employee number years ago, and it just kind of stuck with me. A lot of people use their area codes. I just picked 707 because it was a familiar number to me. Oh. Marky, what are you doing, Mark? You're paying me? Mark, I should be paying you royalties every month. Are you insane? Looking for an antenna recommendation for the home base. Won't be able to build a tower because of it, but a pole attached to the house is fine. Honestly, the best antenna choice on the market for anyone, as like an all-around base antenna, has got to be the Antron A99. I got the bigger Max 2000, and hopefully when I get my replacement one, it's a great antenna. But the Antron is legendary as far as its reliability. It just kind of works right out of the box, and it stays working. So if I had to make a choice on one, I'd say the Antron. It also doesn't have a lot of like wind load or whatever, so you can strap to the, you can use like a, what do they call that, a peak mount on your house, and it'll usually work great. Monica didn't realize she needed a radio. Yeah, it kind of helps, Monica. No skip in Nashville. This guy's saying here, what is that, Angor? I'll just call you Adam. Yeah, Jason says, cheers, Shaw. Seriously, Shaw, come on, man. Now I'm going to have to get my PayPal account fired back up and send it back to you. How much property do I own? 1 million acres, man. I am a land baron. Now I've got about 6 acres here in the mountains. Not here in me in Louisiana. Oh, wait a minute. I thought I heard somebody. Hold on. Let me try it again. CQDX. This is Farpoint Farms, 707. Farpoint Farms in the mountains, North Carolina, trying for a break. Nope. Nothing, unfortunately. This guy's saying he uses a 102 steel whip and gets out about 20 miles. You can do that. Man, back in the day, it was kind of a popular thing. In fact, I never had the base for it, but you can put a 102 steel whip and you can buy a ground plane kit for a 102 whip. It's like $10. It looks like a star, and it screws onto the bottom of the 102, and then you mount your coax to it, and it acts like a base station antenna. So, Marky, if you wanted to try that, like if they were going to give you trouble about having a big antenna sticking off your roof, you could do that. And I doubt, unless somebody was standing in your yard, that anyone would even see it because those things are so skinny. And it would work fairly well. I had that when I was young. Matter of fact, when I had the Washington base station, before I could afford to get a real antenna, I had 2 steel whips with a co-phase cable. I was living in a mobile home with a metal roof. I used the metal roof as like a ground plane for like a car would have. So that was my setup. So that does work in a pinch, and it's cheaper than getting even an Antron. A lot of people saying hello, Mr. Atkins, D-Parent there. Skip is one. Skip, Rooster, Skip is, and I'll make a video on this. It's kind of hard to just explain, but, here's your upper atmosphere, your ionosphere, there's different types of skip, but most skip is like, if I'm going to talk to you and I want to talk to you over here, I'm sending a signal, and it'll, it's all blurry, but it's going to make this little wave, and it's going to go over, and it's going to reach this antenna. When skip happens, some of those signals go all the way up into the atmosphere. They go out into outer space, end up bouncing off the moon or whatever, and disappearing forever. But if the atmosphere is charged just right, a signal will go up, and instead of being allowed to go all the way through the atmosphere, it gets bounced back down to a point, and it's usually quite far away. Not always. It can be 100 miles away, but that's what skip is in the most simplified term. It's a signal that should be going line of sight that bounces off the atmosphere, comes back down in a different location, and that's it. There's a much more to it than that as far as conditions and why it happens and how it happens and when it happens, but that's pretty much the easiest way. Ham Talker's going to try again. All right, let's go to AM. I'm going to go to wow, band is really quiet right now. Funny, Skip was rolling all day. This is exactly like last time. All right, I'm on 14 a.m. Okay, so I'll give everyone a little chance to get on 14. And let's see here. Why don't you break? Nothing. Well, gee whiz, man. I don't know. Just habit, I guess. I break because I asked for a break. I need a break. Everyone needs a break. Oh, let's see here. Train man, can you hear me on channel 14? Are you on 14? I ain't hearing nobody right now. It's crazy. Hey, Farpoint TCB, how you doing, man? What time am I going on the air? I am on channel 14 a.m. Let's try it right now. Hey, it's Farpoint Farms 707 in the mountains of North Carolina. Farpoint Farms in the mountains of North Carolina, trying for a break. Boy, it's just dead. Nothing. Hey, Quebec. My family on my mother's side is from Canada. They're from Ottawa, I think it was. Beautiful place. I went up there. Gosh, their farm went for miles and miles, all the way to the horizon, growing corn, feeding cows. Beautiful farm. And when that happens, yeah, it seems like we've done this show twice now. Last time there was some skip rolling, but nobody heard me. But this time, man, it's like silence. Yeah, Ham Talker, I couldn't hear you either. We'll just leave it on 14 a.m. for right now, and if Skip starts picking up, we'll try it again. Vancouver, boy, a couple Canadians there, and Roadhog 88, Tennessee, right over the border, man. I can see the Tennessee line from my porch. How much did the solar cycle affect Skip? I hear the solar cycle is at a low right now. Was it better 5 years ago? Man, that's a really interesting question. A lot of people talk about the solar cycle, and it goes in an 11-year cycle, although it's decided to change its mind and it just kind of goes wherever it wants to now. Yes, it does affect Skip massively. At the top of a solar cycle, Skip is like all day long. It's coming in from everywhere. And I actually hate that. I prefer it right now when Skip is silent, because what happens when we're at the top of one of those cycles is you turn on the radio and it makes local communications past like 4 or 5 miles darn near impossible, because there's so much junk rolling in that, on your meter, how the dial goes, if it's digital or analog, you've got your S meter that goes from 1 to 9 plus. Well, there's so much skip, so much garbage, so much talking over each other that's they're not even communicating with each other, they're just communicating, that it just maxes out the meter, and it makes it impossible to actually make communications with local comms or even to really talk DX, because there's just so much overlapping. It's hard to make a voice out in the pile of junk that you got there. So I prefer it this time of year, where you have what's called sporadic skip, where maybe first thing in the morning or right before the sun goes down, or just when there's a storm brewing or something like that. Mr. Dewitt says he thinks he heard me in Pennsylvania. Yeah, true. Well, Heath, I was just doing the AM because some of the members here don't have SSB. But you're right. Generally speaking, if you can't make a contact on sideband, you won't be able to make one on AM. I don't have Roger Beep's Ham Talker right now. I'll tell you what, guys. I'm going to go back on 39. Lower sideband. Let's give this one more try. Oh, I do hear somebody talking. CQDX. This is Farpoint Farm 707. This is Farpoint Farm 707. Time to resort to CW. Yeah. I'll get out my old tap kit. Eric, but it makes lots of lizards. Yeah, you're right. That's true. Yeah. It's scary. Any thoughts on the high gain super penetrator? I have never owned one, but I've never heard anything bad about it. Does that help? Oh, cool. Somebody actually caught me there. Let's try one more time. CQDX. This is Farpoint Farm 707. Farpoint Farm 707 in the mountains of North Carolina. Trying for it. Man, I hear someone. Love it. William, you're saying you enjoy the chat. Man, I appreciate that, brother. This is something that I really didn't know whether it would be popular or not, but I'm enjoying it too. It's good talking with people who have joined me. You know, guys, I don't know if you pay attention, but the channel is real close to 10,000 subscribers, which is a goal that I never, ever, ever, ever thought I would get to. So I'm really excited that that's going to happen. Supposedly, when you get to 10,000 subscribers, YouTube opens up the gates a little bit and lets you have access to some additional features on the site. So I look forward to seeing what those features are. When am I usually on the air? Albert wants to ask, he's in North Georgia mountains. When am I usually on the air and on what channel? I would say if I'm not talking locally, I'm usually monitoring or talking on 38 lower sideband because it's just the most popular station right now. And then if I get into a conversation where Skip seems to be stable, I'll move to another channel and stay on that channel for a while. Yeah, Rooster, you're hearing somebody. It looks like it's picking up a little bit. I hear one faint conversation, but it's two guys talking to each other. I really hate talking over them. Heard you here in Kentucky, but it was pretty faint. General Lee, right on, bro. That's cool. That's because you have good videos. I enjoy them. Well, KC7KLZ, I appreciate that, man. I'm just a guy. I didn't really know where this channel would go, but I enjoy the fact that that it's happened. Let's leave it at that. Oh, somebody hears me down in Louisiana. That's cool. I keep yelling 707 in my mic. Let me hear it, man. Nothing. Bummer. Gonna hop in the car and see if you can tune me in, Marky. Right on. Another year it'll be 800,000 subs. Zombie apocalypse is coming, and Eric will be the guru. Jason, I hope you're right, and not that about the zombie apocalypse, but people do need to learn about getting back to the basics. Hey, there's somebody. As soon as this guy's done, I'll give it a shot here. I do hope that people kind of make a return to the simpler times, but I don't hold out a whole lot of hope for that. Daryl, here's somebody. CQDX. This is Farpoint Farm 707 in the mountains of North Carolina. Trying for it. Somebody named Juicy Brucey. I can hear you here in New Jersey, and I'm getting feedback on my PC when you transmit it. You already have super chats, so you're doing well. Yeah, I guess that's a good sign. I think, you really have to play by YouTube's rules. And we talked about this a little bit last time, but I'm playing along. I kind of, I do what has to be done to stay neutral and be a positive aspect on this channel. And I enjoy sharing my knowledge with people. In fact, I'm going to be doing some teaching here in the fall outside of this YouTube channel. I'm going to become a professional teacher in the automotive field. So it's a big change for me. It's part of why I've been pushing hard to move through getting some of these projects done, because things are about to get even busier. Hello from the People's Republic of Massachusetts. I've learned a lot from your CB radio videos. Hello, Massachusetts. Man, when I was a kid, I got up to Massachusetts and went on the battleship Massachusetts. Super cool, man. Have you ever been there? The flaw with getting back to basics is that most people have never lived there. You're right. It's great to daydream about. I want to own a farm. I want to do this. I want to live off the land, whatnot. The truth is, it's very hard work, and myself, I kind of grew up as an outdoorsy person. So I had some farming experience and certainly some skills that would become handy in this matter. But it's been a real learning curve. And now, I've been at it for 5 years now, just a little over 5 years. And I tell you, I'm not going to say I haven't mastered, but I've certainly well on my way to having it figured it out. We've got our food now, about a little less than half of our food now comes from the property. That's meat and vegetables and fruits. So we can and process, and that's a crazy good feeling. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't impress people. I know you can go to Walmart or whatnot and pick up a can of corn for 25 cents, but to be able to grow it yourself, can it yourself, and know that it's there, the supply chain is you and no one else. That's a big thing for me. And I don't really talk about that aspect of my life as far as being a homesteader, but it's huge. Let's see. Oh, man, I probably missed a few here. Let me scroll back here. Thanks, Monica. I appreciate the kind words about the teaching. I'm a little nervous about it. I enjoy teaching, where it's me and a camera. I don't know, interacting with people. I don't know if you people realize this, but most mechanics are socially awkward, I would say. And I'm not saying that I am or am not socially awkward, but most of us go into the field not only just because we understand vehicles better than we understand people, but it's because a lot of us prefer spending time with inanimate objects as opposed to animate objects. So it'll be a bit of an adjustment, but I feel like I'm ready for it. At my age, it's time to move maybe a little bit out of one side of my career and into another. So 555's coming in. Let's see. South Dakota waving at you, Todd. Boy, South Dakota is a place I have always wanted to go to and have never passed through. A beautiful country. Windy from what I understand, but beautiful. That new garage is awesome, man. Boy, that it is. I really love the extra space I've got. Again, I mentioned briefly in one of my videos that one of the reasons that I built that addition is that I'm thinking about maybe doing restorations here more on a regular basis to supplement my income. And in order to do that, I needed to move some of the farming stuff out of here. Now, I do have a barn that has animals in it, and I do keep some of my farming equipment down there, but it's overcluttered, and we'd like to expand on the animals. So I've got to make space, and that was the way to do it. So, yeah, I'm enjoying that. Rhode Island checking in. Good to hear you, man. Rhode Island, I have been through. Grow your own corn, make your own whiskey, Mr. 386. Well, I don't drink anymore, but if I was still drinking, you better believe it, buddy. A lot of old timers probably still doing that around here. Marshall says I was a flight instructor once upon a time. It was as close to teaching as I ever want to get. I need more patience. Yeah, I think that's the biggest issue I have is patience. I'm extremely patient to a point, and then when I'm not, it takes me a long time to come back down to patience. When I lose it, I lose it. So that'll be interesting. Rooster's thinking it's cool. I live off the land. It's a personal choice. It's not something I push on other people. I'm not a hippie, and I'm not like a hardcore survivalist. But I think that looking at history, even recent history, looking at the 40s and looking at Europe during World War II, and seeing that everyone had a couple chickens and a cow or whatever in their backyard, and rabbits especially, that it was very important because the supply chain was destroyed during the war in many of those countries. And if it hadn't been for that, starvation would have been a much bigger issue. Those things keep me up at night. So that's one of the main reasons I do that. Austin, Austin's Garage, working on the timing belt on your Yugo. No kidding, man. Well, I've been wondering. I haven't seen a Yugo video from you in a while, and I was wondering if you maybe had an accident or I don't know what. Maybe got rid of it, got tired of it. I'm glad to hear that you're still fiddling with it and got that blue one. I've still got that dashboard for you. If we can ever get a time to get together, I'd be happy to hand it over to you. It's in perfect shape, tan dash. Let me know. Mike Miller says it takes time to figure it out. My family's been doing it 3 generations. I'm teaching my daughter now. Good, man. Pass those skills down because once they're lost, it's really hard to learn them from scratch. If you can ask somebody who knows and get that information, it's so much easier than it is to just guess at it and start from scratch, especially when it comes to gardening and stuff like that. Stuart Hall wants to know, I thought you mentioned something about running an AM radio station. Can you say more about that? Sure, I can. I do run a radio station. I call it a pirate radio station, but it's not a pirate radio station. It's called a Part 15 low-powered AM radio station. It is 1670 AM, or as I call it, wasted radio. And that radio station has been in operation since 1998 or 1999 in one form or another. It started off as a Ramsey AM1 kit and eventually moved up to a Hamilton Rangemaster. And those are both low-powered radio stations, but they're legal to run. When I lived in, I won't say a city, but when I lived in an area that actually had houses within view, it had a range of about a mile and a half at that location because it was fairly flat. Here in the mountains, I have it set up mostly for nostalgia factor. I would imagine I'm probably the only person that can hear it. I know when I drive off the mountain, even by the time I hit the first house on our street, it's pretty well faded out. But it's something that I've just always enjoyed. It was a dream of mine when I was a kid to have my own radio station, and well, I do. I use Winamp. I don't know if you remember that old program, Winamp. And I just have an old laptop sitting out here up on the shelf up there that has all the MP3s loaded. And occasionally, I kid you not, we used to do it much, much more often when I lived back off the mountain. I go live. It happens. Great to see me on live chat. Joshua says, I've been watching you for a few months. I'm not much of a CBer, but I'm a big time ham. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're watching the show. Austin saying he also got a 63 Thunderbird. Holy cow. Wow. That's a real classic car there, Austin. That's something special right there. Yeah, those are beautiful. As far as ham operators, I made a video about ham versus CB, what to consider, and I got a lot of hate mail off of that. So I'm glad that ham operators have kind of come around to this channel and realized that I'm not out to, throw ham radio under the bus. It's just my own personal opinion that I prefer CB radio and that I think it's a cheaper hobby to get into. I-386, you're asking, are those transmitters legal? They are perfectly legal. And that's why I use the Hamilton Raise Master, has a FCC certification. I don't know if Ramsey is still in production anymore, but if you can find a used kit on eBay, those are also. So yeah, they are legal, but you have to be careful with antenna height and some other stuff like that with it. But they're legal. I mean, we're talking about far less than 1 watt of output. So the FM transmitters that are on eBay, unless they say Park 15, those are not legal. You can get ones from China that are all the way up to 5 or 7 watts. So be careful with that stuff. By the way, I'm Weatherman 400. Kept that. Oh, wow. Cool, man. You've had that since 96. Good for you. I've been North Star since about 96. But like I said, I've kind of recently started taking Farpoint Farm just because more people recognize it. Ramsey's gone. Yeah. Yeah, they were good company. Cool, man. I'm going to read through some of these comments before I comment anymore. People are talking, and I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of folks. A lot of people, asking me about the ham versus CD divide. And I don't know, man. Like, I don't remember it being that way when I was growing up, except for maybe once or twice running into somebody who was a little snooty about, you got to get your ham license or you're not cool. But man, there was genuine hate. I actually had to block a few people. There were people who were kind of threatening me, and that's over what, dude? It's radio, man. Chill. It's just an opinion. There's too much of that. If you don't like it my way, then screw you. There's too much of that in this world. There's room for both of us, and quite frankly, CB and ham both need all the help they can get right now. So love them both. You know what I mean? Yeah, Jason's asking, was it true hams or this new generation? I don't know, man. I don't know. There were some pretty mean guys. Silly. I mean, obviously, it didn't get under my skin because I just don't care. But I was surprised at the outrage. Bobby Atkins using a Cobra 29 and 150 watts. 50 miles on AM. Dang, boy. You must be out in the flatlands. Speaking of CB, let's try this thing again. Channel 39, lower sideband. CQDX, this is Farpoint Farm 707 in the mountains of North Carolina. Trying for it. Yeah, I-386 talking about 18-wheelers not having CBs. It is happening. I think it's a mistake, but everything goes in cycles, Pedantic ham. Yeah, Marshall, you're right about that. Innovation 777's got it right, dude. Do it all. Do whatever makes you happy, man. Like if you like CB, cool. If you hate it, don't use it. If you like ham, great. If you don't use it. If you like playing on the radio and messing around and learning about that stuff, do it both. If you can get your hands on some cheap gear. Well, somebody's talking. CQDX. This is Farpoint Farm 707 in the mountains of North Carolina. Trying for it. Finally got somebody back. Let's turn the volume up. I hear you up there in Maine. This is Farpoint Farms. I'm live on YouTube right now. 707 Farpoint Farms. Got a copy on it up there in Maine. $427. Great, man. Great to hear it. I don't know if you ever go on YouTube, but I am Farpoint Farms on YouTube, and I'm doing a live feed right now talking about CB radio. So it's good to hear from you. Sounds great, my friend. Well, I'll be back on the side. Enjoy yourself. Right on. Finally. Last time we didn't get anybody. He wasn't listening to the show, but at least he was listening to me. Let's see here. I've missed some while I was talking. I agree with you. Shortwave listener. Oh man, shortwave's super cool. I've always wanted to make a video. I know you. I don't know. I don't know. Let me turn the radio down just a bit. I did a video on my tube shortwave radio that I have in the house, but shortwave is it's fun, man. It's really fun. You can hear stuff all over the world. You hear news and opinion from foreign countries that is not filtered through the U.S. System. So I love shortwave, and listening to that, you can also pick up the ham bands. I also pick up CB. So it's a great way to get into the idea of what's out there, and it's really fun. And then someday I'll show you some of the other radios because I do collect shortwave radios and play with those and fix them up and resell them. So that's something else we'll get into one day. But yeah, if you get the option to pick up a shortwave, you see one at a yard sale or something like that, get yourself one of those 11-band shortwave radios. You'll love it. I can't pronounce that. Adam, a lot of guys in my area run a big amps, but at least they will stand by and let someone. Yeah, that seems to be the case these days. You don't have. It's not like the 80s where everybody was talking over everybody and it was just one big mess. Most of the time people want to make conversations, so they're willing to let somebody in and talk, and that's cool. There's still a couple of jerks out there, but they're pretty rare, pretty few and far between. Jason says he's hearing somebody. It's all radio, baby. Ham talker, you're right about that. It is, man. Truckers in Canada still talk on DMI-style trunk radio systems. No kidding. Huh. So CB's about gone up in Canada. That's sad to hear. Let me go down here. Oh boy, I didn't realize I had done that. Sorry. I'm trying to do the right thing here. If anybody's putting out statements they really want me to answer and I'm missing it, I'm sorry. Just keep trying. Okay, I'm trying to read and talk, and it can be a bit confusing. It's hard on my end to do that. TM26 says I think CB will come back sooner or later. I think to an extent, yeah. I think right now it's actually having a bit of a resurgence, and I don't know if my videos have really helped with that, but there's interest, and where there's interest, there's users, and I like that. People have been talking to me. Adam's asking about SDR radio. People have been asking me to get one of those, and I want to look into it. I think SDR is like a USB thing you plug in your computer and allows you to listen to the whole spectrum. I really don't know much about it, so I can't comment more on that, but it is something I have looked at. CB radio for shortwave. Yep, that's exactly what I do. And that's one of the reasons why when I built my tower, I've got some other antennas up there because I want to be able to run a scanner and I want my 2-meter. And I've got an antenna farm now. It's like, it's the real deal. So, I mean, I don't know. It's the geek in me, I guess. Hold on. I'm going to take a sip here. All of a sudden, there they go. Train Man wants to know if I can turn off sideband because he can't do sideband. Train Man, all right, I'm going to go to channel 14 AM, okay? And for everyone else, we're going to do 14 AM for the next 20 or 30 minutes, and I'll get on that here in a second. What class of license? I was a general, and I may have let that slide. I'm not sure exactly where I am right now. I was a general. I may just be a person at this point. I'll have to look. I thought I had renewed it when I was down in Raleigh, but apparently it hasn't gone through because I don't have it on the site. So I'll have to let you know on that one. Is this going to be a regular deal on your channel? This is pretty cool. Dude, it certainly can be. I was amazed last time we had as many people come on and join the show. And there was a lot of people who wanted me to do it again. So sure, I'd like to do it maybe once a month or every 2 weeks. It's timing, finding the time to do stuff like this takes a little bit of time. But I enjoy talking with everybody. I love that stuff. So yes, I'd like to make it a sort of scheduled thing. You're saying when the solar cycle picks back up, people will get back into it. That may be true, but like I was saying earlier, I actually feel like that messes with local comms so much that people they get out of it because it's just too much garbage. Sam from England, 18-year-old CB operator. Good for you, Sam. Glad to hear from you. I just talked to somebody overseas over in Europe about an hour ago, right before I came on the air. It was crazy. It was coming in loud and clear, man. It was just 4 watts. Beautiful. Farpoint antenna farms. Marshall, you won the internet for the day. That's pretty much it, too. Rooster's hand, cool. Just jumped in. How's things going? Things are going pretty good, man. I'm glad you could join us. If you don't have an antenna farm, you're not a real radio man. Yeah, you're right about that. I just tried to convince my wife because now every time she walks out of the house, the first thing she sees is this giant tower hanging out above my garage with stuff everywhere. So it took a little getting used to because it's a whole lot more visible than the old single antron that was up there. Morgan, hello from outside of Albany. Been watching you from the beginning of the feed. Morgan, I had an uncle that lives in just outside of Syracuse. I think it's Manlius, New York. So I don't know how close that is to Albany, but it's a beautiful part of the country there. Certainly people think of New York and they always think of New York City, but upstate New York is a gorgeous area. Stuart, you want to see this become a regular thing? I think if, right now we got 80 people here watching the show. I think if you guys keep showing up in those numbers, I'm cool hanging out here. As long as I've got the time, I'd be happy to do it. Oh, Ham Talker says I got 2 years to renew my license after it expires. So if it didn't go through, I can still take that. That's cool. Marshall saying he's renewed his for that. Okay. Hello from Wisconsin, man. Now, that's another state I've not been to, and I've been to most of them. I think I've been to like 42 of them. But have I ever used a directional antenna? No, couldn't afford it. You need a real tower, like a real triangular tower with a rotor and all that stuff, and plus the antennas are like $300 or $400. So you're talking well over $1,000 to play with that game. So I've never done that, but I do certainly talk to people who are on those. Jason wants to know a serious question. My woman's friend is asking you why you are so damn handsome. Well, thank you. Your wife's friend is probably, or your woman's friend is probably the first person that said that in about 30 years. So I appreciate that. That's great to hear. Oh, gosh. Let's see what else we got here. I use CB. I'm a ham operator, but I enjoy CB much better. I think the reason that people like CB over ham is the simplicity of it. Anybody can go and get this. I've got a unit in. So right now, brand new on Amazon, $119. You buy a $60 or $70 Antron to go with it and $50 worth of cable. You're in it for less than $200 or right at $200, well, maybe a little bit more with tax. And in a weekend, you can have a radio station that you can talk to the world with. And I know there's people out here to say it's ham. Oh, you can get a ham radio and, it doesn't cost that much. But truth is, guys, come on now. If we're being honest about ham radio, it does cost a lot more to get into ham radio. Sure, you can get a radio cheap. Sure, you can get an antenna cheap, but it's expensive. And I'm going to uh-oh. A man reading me said my CB the gateway drug to ham radio. Yeah, $700 for a used HF setup. That's about right. I had an HF setup. I had a full, an all band, all mode radio that was older, but it worked. And when I got rid of it, when I got up here, I got about that for it, and I paid probably twice that putting it all together when I was younger. But that's it. Rooster says now he's going to have to hook up his Cobra CB in his garage. Dude, you should, man. So you should. Everyone should have one out in their garage. It's fun, man. Like if you're out here working, doing something, you just turn it on, turn the squelch on, and pick whatever stations most people are hanging out on. You'd be amazed at what you hear. Sometimes people can be quite funny on CB. It's Monica, you got bumped off. Yeah, it said there was an issue with the connection, but it seems to have come back. Jason Kane, please more pirate radio. I miss those days. By any means, do it. Art Bell rip. Yeah. Art Bell, which, I've got a video talking about him. Love that guy. And one of my, I don't know what you would call it. I wouldn't say hero, but one of the people that I really admired in radio because of just his neutrality to it all. Certainly he had some people on there that were, pretty crazy. And certainly he had some people who really opened your mind to some new ideas. But I just loved the way that guy didn't pick a side. And, we have talk radio, people like Rush Limbaugh and Alex Jones and, those kind of characters. And that's on the right or, whatever the far right or whatever you want to call it. And then on the left, you have, I guess that other radio station went out of business, but you have NPR, let's say, and certainly most of the broadcast news is left leaning. I yearn and miss the days of neutral thinking or open-minded thinking. So when I do my live shows, which I haven't done one probably in 6 months now, but back in the day, me and a close friend of mine used to do them, and we used to have a great time. I actually had people call in occasionally, so that was pretty neat. Guys, are you still having problems? Okay, everything's gone back to normal. I'm sorry about that. I'm out in the garage. I use a wireless connection out here, but I have 3 antennas, aiming towards the house, and I've asked the family not to use the internet while I'm out here to try to keep things going. I'm sorry if that's the only thing I can do, and you guys decide. I could stop the feed, but then I can stop the feed and I can start it over again, but you'll have to join me in another feed. Is that what everyone wants to do? Let's see here, man. I'll give it another 2 minutes if it doesn't come through. I hear somebody on 14. Okay. All right. I'm going to leave it be then. If you guys start having real issues, I'll restart it. So if the feed goes down completely, guys, I didn't give up for the night. Just check back in about a minute or two, and I'll start a second feed. I am on 14 a.m., and I'm going to give it a shot. You guys ready? This is Farpoint Farm 707. Farpoint Farm 707. Anybody got a copy? Doug wants to know, do I use straight power when I'm on lower sideband? Yeah, I come across amplifiers from time to time, and I wanted to make some videos, talking about them and, pros and cons of using them. Obviously, they're illegal, so that's the big con. But I've never really felt the need to have them. I talked to Italy today, barefoot, 12 watts sideband. So that's pretty impressive. I think if the solar cycle picks up and there's a lot of that splatter and garbage and the I call it the noise floor, and I don't know if I'm talking over anyone's heads, but if the noise floor is really high, an amp can help with that. But no, I don't talk on that. Austin wants to know if I work on any other cars, or other interested in other cars that I'm restoring. So I like to play with cars that people generally don't care about. Things like the Geo Metro, which I talked about earlier. I like to play with old Volkswagens, although I like playing with Beetles. I actually prefer the Rabbit, which looks a lot like that. The old first generation Rabbits and Scirocco's were really cool cars to play with. They were actually, pretty fast too, so they were fun. I've been thinking about what kind of car I want to mess with next, and again, I'm thinking a Metro convertible would be fun to get my hands on. Other than that, cars that interest me at this point, I think a Suzuki Samurai would be a great car to play with, but I'm not someone who likes to modify cars. In fact, it kind of bugs me. So I'd like to have a Samurai, but I'd like to have it like stock. In fact, I'd love to find what's called a tin top, which is a hard top Samurai, just bring it back to stock and drive something like that for a while. So yeah, I'm like, I would get like a Reliant K car, like a Chrysler K car, and fix that up if I could find a nice one. I just like, the forgotten cars. We always think about Mustangs and Camaros and all these, sweet rides, but the truth is those cars are pretty well cemented into history, and they'll always be around because people have done their best to save them. But there's a lot of cars that no one remembers. Oh, Subaru Brat, somebody mentioned. I'm having problems with the chat not staying up, but Subaru Brat would be an awesome car to have and fix up. So yeah, those cars, the cars that are like disappearing, they're going to junkyards. There's probably not many left, which is exactly what drew me to the Yugo. I always wanted one of them, and it's like they're just disappearing. Dude, you're getting a Reliant Robin, the 3-wheeled cars. Sweet ride. I'd love to see how you get your hands on one of those through here. Worst car I ever drove was a Dodge Omni. Chrysler's answer to the Chevette. But man, the Omni was a crappy car back in the day. I had a Rabbit. I drove a Rabbit, and a lot of my friends had Omnis. But what I did like was the look of the Turismo and the Omni 024, like that hatchback, the more like Scirocco version of it. And what I really, really liked was the pickup truck version, the Dodge Rampage and the Plymouth Scamp. Yeah, again, like there's probably less than 500 of those things left on the planet that are still running. If I could get my hands on one, I don't care how mechanically unreliable they are, I would love to drive one of those things. Adam wants to know if they bring back the Geo Sidekick. Man, again, yeah, like a little two-door Sidekick. Yeah, cars just keep getting more and more bloated. I hate that. I like little cars. Doug saying he drove a K car. Yeah, a K car is, a nice, reliable four-cylinder automobile. It's just that square body just kind of, they're forgotten. They're gone. There's like two of them left on the road. Oh, let's see here. My dad had a 400 watt. Yeah, wow, 400 watts in a mobile. That probably was making some noise. I'll tell you what has been fun to have, my postal Jeep. I love that thing. Austin, when I was a young guy and didn't have any money, there was a postal Jeep for sale. Right hand drive and everything, hard top, and I lusted over that car because they only wanted like $350 for it, and it was pretty beat up. But young man's dreams. I lusted over that car forever, and they finally sold that thing. So I'll bet you that's a fun little car to drive around in. Nice, simple car to work on. Saab 900. Oh, I don't know about that. I worked on Volvos and Saabs until we literally had a revolt in the shop and demanded they stop working on Saabs. That's how much love for Saabs there was around there. This guy saying hey, man, Jordan, you got a 2000 Echo. I got a 2003 Echo with 220 on mine. Love that car. Little 5-speed. I call it my Sport Echo. My wife loves it. Doesn't even have power steering, man. I love that thing. Echoes are the best, man. They're like the last new car that was simple, as far as I can think of. Oh, let's see here. I'm on the same boat. Young and broke, boy, I tell you. Don't worry about it. I promise you, and I've watched your channel, and I know what you do for a living, from you talking about how you kind of flip stuff and buy and sell. You keep up with that, Austin, and you're going to do it the right way. Don't let the world dictate the way you think life should be. You're doing it your way, and trust me, your way works. People are going to try to talk you out of doing it your way from now until forever. They're still trying to talk me out of doing it my way. But if you stick with it and you keep your hand on your wallet and keep it in your pants until it's time to do the right things, you'll do awesome. That they say don't blow money on cars. Cars buy and sell. A car is it's like putting money into a bank. Usually, what you put into it, you get close to it out of. Sometimes you lose a little money, sometimes you gain a little money. Mark, you had a 2000 Echo as well? Sweet, man. It's like, gosh, it's like like-minded people crowded around here. Mark Shaw, 2000 Echo. I bought a 2001 for my wife and drove it a few times, and I was like, she had a 4-door version, and I was like, man, I love this thing. And I came across one that the clutch was blown on it. I got that thing for like pennies on the dollar, and I'm still driving it 5 years later, man. I love that car. I even put snow tires on it in the winter. I got studded snow tires for an Echo. It's a real blast to drive, let me tell you. I love that thing. And that does have a CB and a big old 46-inch whip antenna hanging off the trunk. Got a 41 truck. Holy cow. Wow. That's something, I'd be hiding that in the house at this point. Wayman Parker wants to know, what's your stand on Miatas? Boy, I had a first-generation Miata, and I think it was my favorite car to drive of all time. I'm kind of a big guy. I'm getting a little older, having a hard time getting in and out of the seats and stuff. But if I ever move off this mountain, I will definitely own another, 93 to 97 model Miata. That is so cool. It's like driving a go-kart to work every day. And I don't care. Some people say it's a girl's car or whatever. No way, dude. That thing is way too fun. Yeah, Marky, it is a small world. Let's see. Have you heard any numbers on how many Yugos are left in the States? Yeah, it was exactly what you got there, Austin. 500 to 1,000. I bet you it's 500 to 1,000 total. I don't believe those numbers are running. I bet you it's probably 250 that are running and in use, like you and I do, driving maybe once a week or something like that. I bet you there's probably 1,000 that are able to be brought back from the dead. And probably 2,000 or 3,000 that are just rusted out parts cars that are just laying out in people's fields. Kind of like, you bought a complete parts car. In one of my videos, I went out off the mountain and found a car that was, a parts car, and there was no way you could bring it back. The whole bottom of it was rusted out. So, yeah, those numbers are pretty low. I'm surprised there's not more interest in saving the few that are left. I'm hoping maybe between you and I, we've raised a little interest in that because it's a cool car. It needs to be preserved. A guy in Ohio is selling 20 of them. Holy cow. Snake Man 250. What's a Yugo? That right there is a Yugo. 1988 Yugo GV. Google it when you get done here, man. You will have a heck of a laugh. It is supposedly the worst car ever built. But I can tell you right now, as a mechanic for the last 26 years, it is not the worst car ever built. You ever owned a Volkswagen from like 98 to like yesterday? Those are the worst cars ever built. Randy wants to know, you remember Datsun? Are you kidding me? I love Datsuns. Datsun 210, 510, the trucks. Man, I would love to get like a 620. That would be, a car that's not really, I guess, collectible, but a fun little pickup truck. So let's see. One of my. Oh, again. Hugo was the box. It's a Metro, okay, but try tuning into 30. Oh, hold on a second. Marky, I'm going to turn to 38 again, sideband. All right, I'm back on that. Just going to monitor that while we chat. One of your subs sent you the link? Cool, man. I'll have to check that out. What am I going to do with 20 Hugos? I guess I'll open up a dealership. Oh, gosh. My first car was a 78 Buick. Boy, those were the big bruisers. Yeah, Rooster, the Yugo was kind of a throwaway car. We, politics in America, we loved them and we brought a whole bunch of them in. And then all of a sudden we didn't love them and we bombed the factory and they were in the middle of a civil war. So between those two things, it became very difficult to get parts for Yugo. And that was kind of the end of that saga, unfortunately. What a shame. They went back and they still produced them all the way to 2008, but they never brought them back here to America. Such a shame. Let's see here. They wouldn't start on the first cold day because the battery's about the size of a 9-volt Duracell. I believe that. They got some issues. There's no doubt. Mine, like I said, is trying to live up to its name. I was driving it. Everything was great. And I was driving home about 2 weeks ago. And, man, it was like I filled up the car and I got in the car. It was reeking of gas. It turns out there's a connector pipe between the nozzle or the fill valve there down to the gas tank. And it had split. And, it's reeked of gas. Luckily, I was able to get that hose, and I just fixed that. I took it out one time since then, and then when I go to take it again, the brakes are gone. So, I swear. 72 Dodge Polara, that was a big boy. Yeah, I had heard that, Austin, the 500L. And, I've seen one of those at the shop I work at. It's bigger than the original Fiat, that they came out with a few years ago. And it's got a Chrysler engine in it, which is kind of weird. But, yeah, I had heard that. I'm glad. I watched the documentary on Yugo, the factory, and, talking about being bombed. And those people put a lot of love and care into that factory. So I'm glad that they got a contract with Fiat to build cars. I don't know if I would have, chose the 500L, but maybe they should have built, 81 Rabbits. That would have been a good car. The Lada. I would love to get a Lada here in the U.S. In Soviet Russia, the Yugo drives you. That's correct, Barry. And if it does not want to start, it's your fault. Holy cow, are you kidding me? Innovision 777. You have a 74 Toyota Celica still rolling? Man, those things rusted out here so bad. Oh, God, the 78, 79s. I don't know if that's the same body style as the 74. I thought those were great-looking cars, man, but they all rusted out like decades ago. Man. Let's see here. The weld with a gas tank and the fill hole. Oh, really? Wow. Yeah, I'm glad that hasn't happened to mine, Austin. I've got enough issues. I'm not too good with welding either. Jordan Cox says he has a 980 SSB in his Echo with a 36 little wheel mount on the roof. I'm sitting out right now watching your stream and trying to hear you on side, man. Ready? I'm going to give it a shot. CQDX. This is Farpoint Farm, 707 in the mountains of North Carolina. Trying for it. I'm going to have to turn it up a little bit. CQDX. This is Farpoint Farm, 707 in the mountains of North Carolina. Trying for a break. KC's saying if you put a 102-inch whip on the top of that Yugo, it'll look like an RC car. It definitely would. I did that on one of my Beetles, and people used to laugh all the time because that little remote control car. You use JB Weld to fix your Yugo? You know, actually, that is like probably the official factory fix for most of the problems on the Yugo. So you did all right. Let's see. Butch, checking it out, man. Good talking with you, man. I can't believe we've been at this for over an hour already. Oh, wow. This guy's doing a Jeep. Wow. I am Sam. I'm on 38 lower side, man. This guy has a 19 TCB of a 1979 Trans Am. No kidding. That's kind of a cool car to own for sure. Antigraphic, yeah, I changed from 14 back to 39 lower sideband. We're going to just keep it on sideband for the rest of the evening, probably. I'm sorry that you don't have one, but it's just better odds of reaching each other. 39 lower sideband, Daryl. All right, let's take. See you, Butch. CQDX. This is Farpoint Farm 707 in the mountains of North Carolina. Trying for it. One more try. Sounds pretty dead right now. Oh, wait a minute. My gosh, guys. Let's try that again. I was on 38. I'm sorry. That's just habit to go to 38, I guess. CQDX. This is Farpoint Farm 707 in the mountains of North Carolina. Trying for it. Yeah, Smoking the Bandit car. That 79 Trans Am. And I think his was a 77, but Butch, take care, man. Rooster, yeah, the Firebirds, the problem with all those cars of that late 70s era is they were muscle car looking, but they got destroyed by emissions, air pumps and EGR and smog and all that stuff. Just took a big old V8 and made it like 150 horsepower at most. So it's just crazy, man. Dream Man says the cat laid on there. No problem there, man. I got cats everywhere. I don't have any in the garage tonight, but my wife and I both love cats. Good for mousing. Doug, have a good night. Take care, buddy. You have the Pace 40 channel from Smoking the Bandit. That's pretty rare. Take it easy, guys. Looks like some of the folks are filing out. How long do you guys want me to go? I can finish this up at 9 o'clock. I'll leave it up to you. I can go for a full other hour. I think last time we did 2 hours, but if you've had all the fun you can handle, we can close it off here in another few minutes. That's up to you. Austin says he's thinking of doing an emissions delete on the Yugo. Yeah, Austin, I don't know if you were here when I was talking about it earlier, but yeah, I had to do that on mine. I'm living up in really steep mountains, and I put everything back together exactly the way it was supposed to. Every vacuum line, every hose, everything. And it was gutless and horrible, and it ran very poorly. So I actually looked, and I found a Fiat X19 website that had the information I needed to bypass all that small control stuff, bypass the EGR, bypass the air pump, everything, and just run a vacuum line from the carb over to the distributor. And man, it cleared up so many drivability issues that thing was having. So it really helped out. I do recommend you do that. You don't have to pull the air pump off the car, just unhook all the tubes and stuff and let it roll. And that helped an awful lot with mine. So I wish I could draw you a diagram or something. Maybe I'll take a picture and send it to you via private mail if you'd like. It's just one. You're going to disconnect everything, plug everything off except for one line, and you're going to run that. So it's going to be great. Oh, man. Sorry, I didn't hear it. Marky, taking off, man. Yo, you moving? Well, good luck, my friend. Marky, seriously, I don't know why you gave me money. I should be giving you money every month. I love the song. Everyone that hears the song loves the song. And you should be a millionaire. So if I ever become a millionaire, I'll be sure to send you the biggest royalty check anyone ever got. But you take care, man. You are definitely A+ in my book. Be good, my friend. William Baker wants to know, do they have a CB that's Bluetooth capable? Yes, they do. Cobra 9 makes a Cobra 29 BT is an AM model that does Bluetooth. And Unidin's, this 980 that I have here, has a Bluetooth microphone available for it. But I don't have it, I'm sorry to say. Marshall's taking off. Got to go. It's been fun. Take care, man. Yeah, Jason, you're right. The song is amazing, man. He's awesome. Farpoint, what kind of humidor do you have? I'm trying to get a good one. Actually, those humidors were inherited from my grandfather. So they're older. I don't know that they have a brand on them, but they actually have his initials embroidered in or burned into the top of it, I guess. So those are from him. In fact, oh man, I'm not really allowed to do these anymore, but I could enjoy one. Mark, you take care, man. Cram a force here and take on that Yugo. Yeah, dude. How about a supercharger? Sam's saying it's 2 in the morning in England. I don't know. Yeah, you might get the neighbors woken up there. Brewster says smog is so cool, though. Totally, bro. Monica, take care. Just shot you a text about the emissions delete. Okay. Well, when I get off of here, I won't be able to text that to you tonight because I actually don't get reception up here. But when I go into town tomorrow, I will send you a text with a picture of what I did, and maybe I'll draw like a really funny looking diagram. But it should help you out with that. No, Jason, it's not that. It's YouTube. They frown upon such activities now. So that's it's I don't even know what to say about that, but America. So, all right, Austin. Yeah, I'm good. I'll get that out to you tomorrow. And if you ever do want to get together, I don't know, between your Yugo's problems and my Yugo's problems, we'll probably both try to meet up somewhere, and neither one of us will make it more than 20 miles, but it'll be fun to try. This guy saying he's been trying to find Tampa Sweet Roots. Yeah, they're kind of hard to find. Do you? Austin, yeah, wasn't your name used to be like Guns and Gears or something like, or Guns and Pipes? I can't remember. It was something, or I don't remember. It was something, but it had something to do with cigars. But I had all mine demonetized, and then they started demonetizing all my other videos. Anytime I uploaded a new video related to cigars, like the next 5 videos would all be demonetized. So I stopped doing those videos, unfortunately. Snake Man, smoking is way too expensive everywhere, and not just for the price, but it's bad for your health. There's no doubt about it. Of course, I'm an adult, so if I choose to go that way, I guess I can. But vaping class is fine, yeah, right. I won't even say what we call vaping where I work, but it makes your antenna glow. Good God, look at this guy. Cars and cigars. That was it. I knew it was something like that. Yeah, you got a great channel, Austin. You really ought to continue uploading. I know life gets in the way of that stuff, but you were on a roll there for a while. You should just try to keep up with that stuff. $30 for a 20-pack. Good Lord. Yeah, Bobby Scott, gotta love YouTube. Yeah, gotta love censorship is what you gotta love. Gotta love Big Brother, which is just squeezing the heck out of us. What's the worst day for the Yugo driver? One Yugo piling another one. Pulling another one there. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Austin, there's plenty of hotels up here. It's kind of a tourist area where I live, or near where I live, so plenty of places. And it's beautiful, it's like a vacation area. So if you ever did want to come around, hell, but, you can stay at the place. I don't care. It's just my wife and I. We're not, I mean, we're weird, but we're not that kind of weird. Oh, God. Somebody wants me to fire one of these babies up, so let's do it. I haven't had one of these in weeks. I'm too busy working. I think I got a lighter out here. You actually have a picture of Yugo pulling another Yugo. Right on. Oh, relatives in Murphy. That's not too far, I don't think. You were in Cherokee. Yeah, that's the south west part of North Carolina. I'm in the northwest corner. I mean, like the real northwest corner where Tennessee and Virginia are both about peeing distance from my house. What is Citizens Press? Well, I'm not really probably supposed to say anything about that, but Citizens Press is kind of my way of giving the middle finger to YouTube as far as their censorship issues. Everyone is part of the Citizen Press. Everybody has a right to talk. And so I got this shirt from a website that will remain nameless, and I don't agree or disagree with that website, but I like the shirt. So I decided when I do these live shows, I'll try to wear my Citizen Press shirt. If you play with radios, you have to be weird. True. A geeky, a nerd, I don't know. Maybe that's pretty much. I am super lucky, dude. You want to know what kind of internet I have out here? I am like 20 miles from nowhere, and yet somebody who is a multi millionaire built a beautiful home somewhere 5 or 6 miles away from here, past where I live, and they paid huge amounts of money to have fiber optics run to their house, which meant that I had a huge amount of not spending money, but I got fiber optic run to my house without having to pay all that money. I just had to have cables run up to the driveway, which was only like 15 or 1600 feet. So sweet. Yeah, Austin, I was going to come down this spring. My father lives down in Atlanta, and unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but he wants to come up here. Again, I've had some personal changes in life, and I'm going to be starting a sort of a new career. He wanted to come up and see my new business. So he's coming up this way. So I probably won't be until fall, maybe October or November. But if I'd be willing to drive the Yugo down there if that happens. So if you're available then too, I'd be loving. Oh, Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. I actually went there with my wife for the first time about 2 months ago. Beautiful area. Kind of busy, but beautiful area. Smith & Wesson, you're not allowed to say that. Get out of here, man. The first rule of Fight Club is there is no Fight Club. What's the worst car you've ever worked on in your career? I've been doing it for about a year now, and I'm really fond of horror stories. Oh, my gosh. Well, pull up a chair, children, and I'll tell you a story or two, or a 500. The worst car I have ever worked on is an Audi TT. The engine on that thing is absolutely impossible to work on. It's built like it's made out of Cracker Jack box material, and it's straight up garbage. The car is garbage. So, yeah, I would say that's probably the worst car I've worked on, just as far as this. Everything is impossible to do anything. Austin, yeah, it would be great for the channel. We could do like a crossover thing. I think that'd be great. I swear, if I get down there, the Vin Wiki channel, if you have some crazy stuff, I got plenty of those. What kind of cigar? I can't say the word. I am HD Red. Those are Good Times HD Red. I don't know what the flavor is supposed to be. I think it's a little cherry-esque, but no kidding. Okay, yeah, he's a huge member here on this station. 71 Volvo wagon, you betcha I have. When I got out of trade school, when I got out of the Army the first time, I went to work for Volvo, and I worked on everything from the P1800s all the way through. I think I left in 2014, so they were just rolling off the assembly lines with those new supercharged, turbocharged motors. Volvo made a fine automobile with the 240s and 740s and 940s. To a slightly lesser extent, the 960s. Everything else, much different stuff. I'm not saying they're crappy cars, but the 850s and the V70s and stuff that age, they're not that great. Well, I mean, they're good cars when they run, but they're expensive to fix, and they can be kind of picky. You can't mess with Jason. You're a terrorist. Yes, I was in the military, Austin, for from the early 90s up through 2001. Phil, take care, man. Is it worth it? You're joining the Army, Austin? I don't. Man, that's a tough question, Austin. I don't know if you should be asking me that. Yes, it can be. How old are you now? I thought you were probably, about 26, 27? Mike Miller, speak your mind, censorship bites. It does, Mike. It does bite. But the problem with speaking your mind when censorship is all around you is the second you speak it, you're censored. So until we have another platform or another place to speak our mind freely, we're kind of in a spiral down the drain right now. P1800s were cool. They are cool cars. They're cool looking. They're pretty reliable as well. But it'd be hard. You have to get a West Coast one at this point because the East Coast ones are pretty well all rusted out. Edward, that is not a custom shirt. It's available on a website that someone already mentioned here. I can't mention it, but it's good. You're only 22, Austin? Oh, God, man, you look old for your age. I guess it's that beard. You could do that, Austin. You could join. If you want to join, you seem like a nice guy. May I recommend you choose a career path that doesn't involve getting shot at on a regular basis? infantry sounds cool. Mechanized infantry sounds cool. Tank stuff, all this stuff sounds cool. Special forces, Ranger School, it's all really cool when you're young. But the truth is that stuff stays with you for the rest of your life. You can go into the Army or any of the branches and choose an MOS, which is like your school, your specialty, and pick something that you can use when you decide to get out of the military after, you don't have to stay for 20 years. You can get out in 6 years or sometimes 3 years. So yeah, it's good. Obviously, physically and mentally demanding. I don't know how it's changed in the 20 years since I've been in, but most people can handle it. Most people can. If you've got some serious mental deficiency, you're going to have a tough time with it. If you've got a serious medical issue that you're going to try to cover up long enough to get into basic training, it's going to show up when they're working you to death. But once you get out of basic and you get into your class, it's just like going to college, except a lot stricter. And once you get to your duty stations, it's like any other job. You're going to make some great friends. I still keep in contact with people that I met in the early 90s, and some of them are my best friends. And if I don't see them for 10 years, I can sit down with them and chat like it was yesterday. So it's a mixed bag, brother. We're not currently in any kind of declared war, but if there's one thing I've learned about this country is that we do like to blow people up, and we do like to pick fights. So while it's safe looking today, you got to be prepared that you might fall in love while you're at a duty station with a girl, and then you got to deploy, and it's 15 months. And let me tell you, 15 months is hard on you, but it's a lot harder on a girl who has guys who are affectionate, showing affection for, to sit at home alone. And a lot of guys end up getting divorced or lose girlfriends, and it's very depressing. So that's just stuff to think about, just so you don't go in it blindly. You're working for the government. Well, hurry up and wait exists, obviously. If you were going to go into it, if you're mechanically minded, being a mechanic would be a great position. It's a relatively safe position. Do not become a truck driver, which was an 88 Mike, at least it used to be. Sounds like a safe position. It's not a safe position. You're always out there getting shot at. Try not to pick anything that gets you, in that kind of trouble. That's pretty much, I'm proud of my service. I'm proud of everyone that does do this job. But I see in myself, I see in a lot of people, there's a young guy that, that I'm friends with now that, it changes you when you have to go overseas and do terrible things. So just things to keep in mind, my friend. Yeah, no combat is what a lot of people here are commenting. William Parker's got it right. So the ideal way to work that system is to go into the military. You're going to learn some skills. You're going to learn a lot about yourself as far as what you're capable of and not capable of, and how far you can be pushed, because you think you can only go so far, but they're going to show you can go a whole lot farther before you really go off the edge. And so go through that. You'll learn that about yourself, and then choose a career that you can roll out of the Army or whatever branch you choose to go into, and be something like, again, like if you want to be a mechanic, great. You're going to learn a skill that when you walk out, you can go to any shop in America and be like, hey man, I'm a vet, and I know how to work on cars, and I went through military training for this and that. And they're going to say, awesome. Here's the keys, come on in. So that's a great career. There's lots of other ones, medic jobs. If I don't know if you have any college, but you could become a dang doctor through the Army for pennies on the dollar what it would cost you to go through a regular college. So if you ever wanted to fly, you could fly helicopters and get a job working for some news station, flying the news camera crews around after you're done. So there's just a lot of things you could do that are fun and relatively safe and relatively good as far as the future goes, as far as what happens post-Army or post-military. So that's my advice on that. You know what I mean? I certainly don't want to tell you not to join. It's just be careful. Don't fall into the Rambo syndrome where you think that would be fun, because I'm telling you it's not. So all the stuff disappeared. Here it goes. Somebody's telling me to preach, and I'm trying not to, but I it's one of those touchy subjects. My ex-wife was QA inspector. Don't get your honey where you get your money. This guy, Marines, right on, 9704. You guys are truly crazy. I love you. Right up there in Pigeon Forge, got them shows you can go to. Yeah, man, I liked Pigeon Forge. It was really nice, a little expensive, but all touristy places are. Any 91 series are mechanic jobs. Yeah. Semper Fi is right. I have a cousin who was a helicopter mechanic in the Marines. He's retired after doing his job. Yeah, $150,000 working for Lockheed. Rooster, you say you wouldn't make it in the forces. I respect that you do. The mental thing would get me. It is tough. It is tough. You do have to get in shape. Austin, I would say that my biggest advantage when I joined was that I spent the entire year beforehand working for a landscaping company. So every day I was out there walking behind mowers, digging holes, planting stuff, outdoor. And so there were guys that came in. Matter of fact, one of the poor kids he was a couple of years older. He was 26. I think I was, 18 or 19. And man, he had been a truck driver for 3 years. And nothing against truck drivers, I love them to death. But you're sitting on your butt all day. It's hard to stay in shape. So, man, he just suffered dearly. And there was, no amount of yelling and screaming can get you past that. So if you do decide to do it, go down and see, your recruiter, sign up and choose a ship out date that's 6 or 7 or 8 months down in the future. I think you're allowed like 9 months and you can push it out. And you better get to work on running and stuff because they mean it. He's just joined the Army National Guard and is getting there. Yeah, look at this. A medical doctor degree paid for. So, yeah, I don't know. A lot of people don't have money to go to college and become a doctor that way, but certainly the Army is the way to do that. Morgan wants to know what happened to the Apple iMac, all the one. I had it in my house for at least 6 months, and I used to listen to podcasts and stuff on it. And I recently just boxed it up. I'm going to sell that on eBay here very shortly. It was fun to play with, and I enjoyed my time with it, but it's time to move on to some other projects, which is kind of how I live my life. Eric is saying he's buff. That's one. Yeah, right. Y'all, man, watch that last video of me. Even I noticed I got a hell of a gut going right now. I don't know what happened to me, man. I used to be buff. Time takes its toll on all of us. But I'm glad your woman's friend's all tingly, man. That brings a tear to my eye because I'm laughing my butt off. Rooster says I'm for Trump, but I did message him when he bombed Syria. That pissed me off, many others. I think that pissed off everyone. Maybe one of the few things Democrats and Republicans can agree on is no one wants to go to war with anybody else. I don't care about the Syrians. It's all manufactured bullshittery. Oh, my God, I just swore for the first time ever. So let's leave it at that. More beer. Boy, I drank enough beer to kill a horse. I don't drink anymore, man. I had to give that up. Yeah, that's it. I'm done. I'm done. That's it. They just pulled the channel. I got 3 strikes in 1 sitting, and I'm gone. Oh, God. I'm going to try the CB one more time, and we'll probably wrap this thing up here in the next 15 minutes. Guys, I am on channel 39, lower sideband. And let me turn the volume up a little bit and give you a chance to turn yours up. 39, lower sideband. 39, lower sideband. All right, ready? CQDX. This is Farpoint Farm 707 in the mountains of North Carolina. Trying for a break. CQDX. This is Farpoint Farm 707. I repeat, Farpoint Farm 707 in the mountains of North Carolina. Sounds like we're just going to have to call it at one single contact tonight, but that was fun trying with that. You were skinny until 2000. Boy, I tell you what, I was like 165 for years and years and years. And then when I met my wife, she's a hell of a cook. And man, as soon as she started cooking for me, the weight started packing on, and it has been a battle ever since. And most of the time, cooking beats the battle of the bulge. So I enjoy maybe being a little rotund, although it's a little tough on the knees at this age. YouTube will die before Farpoint Farms is removed. Power to the people, right? Austin says we will have to set up something to come up there. I'll have to do a long weekend. I'd love to do it, man. I would love that. I have Saturdays and Sundays off, and during the week, I'm available in the evenings. But I'd love for you to come up there. I think it would be great. And if you want to talk more about a possible military career, I could in private, or you can even call me if you want to, man. You have my number. We could talk about it in a more personal way, and I could give you my opinions on that. Terrytown, Pennsylvania. Isn't that near Gettysburg? Yeah, I know Terrytown. Love Gettysburg. Came real close to moving there. And what was the other? There's Terrytown and boy, yeah, I remember that area. That was 6 or 7 years ago. But what is your eBay name? Is that your YouTube channel name too? Yes, it is. Yep. Oh man, 10-11 was open this morning. Yeah, this morning I'm talking all over the world. Rooster says the optimum weight for my height, 6'3", is 185. Yeah, that's probably like 180. I think is where I'm supposed to be. I used to be 6'3". I think I'm down to about 6'1.5" now. I'm shrinking with some age, but all my weight is in the gut. And all kidding aside, I had a serious drinking problem when I was younger. It probably shows a little on my face, but and as a result, you kind of pack on the pounds, and it's not healthy calories and all that stuff. So I quit drinking years ago, but those things have stuck with me as far as getting rid of that stuff. So, let's see here. My ham club's talking about putting up a CB radio antenna. I think, yeah, man, do it. Like I said, ham and CB both need all the help they can get. So, the more the merrier. I'm game with all that. Oh, Terrytown, Georgia. I'm sorry, man. Terrytown, Georgia. Okay. Well, I'm not familiar with that, but my father lives down in Griffin, Georgia. I'm not sure. That's south of Atlanta, which is a monstrous city. Let's see. If I was working in IT the last 20 years sitting at a desk. Yeah, that's the thing about desk jobs is everyone wants a desk job because it certainly is an easier job. Well, it can be. I don't want to say it's not stressful in its own way, but physically, it's not a hard job. It's just mentally hard. But the problem is, physically you suffer a little bit, and I've heard that can actually be bad for you to have a desk job for too long. I've never had that pleasure, so I don't know firsthand. I've always kind of worked with my hands, but Daryl wants to know if the new CB antenna is better than the old one yet. Well, considering the new CB antenna doesn't work at all, I'm going to have to say the old one is better so far. But I'm hoping to have a replacement sent to me very shortly, so we'll have to give that another shot. It's a real bummer, but looking for a CB used is fine with me. What I recommend this Uniden 980 SSB. It's been such a nice radio. Really like it. D. Miller says, hello, Eric. Hello. Man, people still joining us this late in the evening. All right. You're west of Atlanta, Austin. I thought it was somewhere out that way. Yeah, Uniden, the 980 SSB probably has every feature you're ever going to want in a CB. And as far as a modern CB goes, you get a little 3 amp power supply, like a used Radio Shack power supply, and you will have a great base station right there. A Cobra 148 GTL is awesome radio as well. Probably one of the classics along the lines of Uniden Washington or Uniden Grant. They're just starting to show their age a little bit, so make sure that if you're not familiar with fixing things, that you might have to turn a wrench here or there, or a screwdriver anyway. Oh, wow. You want to know if I want to build a blueprint of the tower I'm building? Well, I kind of built it from my mind, but I will make sure that part 2 kind of shows the more up close of it in its upright position. I will say this. It was pretty sketchy getting that thing up there. It took a lot of effort. So weight wise, it's probably the unit probably only weighs about 130 pounds, but the distribution of the weight and the way you rise the antenna up really was a bit sketchy once you got to about the 45-degree angle point. So, I don't know, man. It's a good antenna setup. I'm happy I did it. I don't know that I could have made a better plan to make a better antenna, but I like it. I'll try to make some maybe a drawing of what it looks like in the end result and prices online of what it costs to do that. TCB saying he likes North Carolina better than Georgia. I do, just for the weather. Even, I lived in Raleigh for many, many years, and the heat in the summertime is just brutal. Winters aren't too bad, but the heat in the summertime, especially if you do outdoor stuff like I do, it just wears on you. And right now I'm up in the mountains, and our temperature is about 10 to 15 degrees cooler than it is in Raleigh. Also, usually we don't have the same amount of humidity, so that helps. Georgia, whenever I visit my dad in August, man, it's just brutal. See you next time, Eric. All right, Barry, take care. Go and eat dinner. Yeah, we're in it for another about 10 minutes, guys, and then I'm going to check out. I'm kind of tired myself. It's been a long day. I've really enjoyed this. I can't believe that a guy can get on the internet and sign up on YouTube and make some videos and connect with a bunch of people and then go live like this and just talk with people, man. This is great. Like making friends, man. This is just great. You guys are all great. You know, some of you I talk personally with back and forth via messaging, on here, in comments and stuff. But the fact that this is even possible, it's the future, and we're all living in it, man. I'm enjoying it. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it too. Let's see here. Jason King, you're not on Farpoint. Yeah, that's right. He's gone now, but Marky Shaw recommended that in order to grow my channel a little bit, that I should have a media presence on other websites. So I do have Farpoint Farms on Facebook. I don't use it as much as I probably should, but I do have some people who have joined me there. And it's a great way if you want to communicate with me privately. There's the messaging system on there that you can get onto. So if you guys want to go to the Facebook page, you can. I did sign up for Reddit, but I haven't really figured that one out. I don't know how to use it. And I don't know Twitter. I don't use that. And I don't use any of the other ones. I did mention last time, I am also, because of free speech issues on YouTube, I did sign up for DTube, which is another website, another version of YouTube basically, but it's not monetized. I only have a place card video, just a welcome video on there. But at some point, if things go weird, it's there. And so I may start working there more often as well. Okay, what else we got here? Somebody's asking me if I enjoy watching Gunsmoke. Boy, I used to. It was a Me TV. Used to play that all the time. I don't know if they still do, though. I've got a new favorite channel. It's called Comment. I think I talked about this a month ago. It just started playing in our area. I don't have cable up here. But it's just awesome, man. It's like all old monster movies and cheesy horror movies and stuff. It's awesome. 741, enjoyed the live stream, though. Joined late, man. I'm glad you joined it all. I appreciate that. Someone down in Argentina saying hello, man. Good to see people from other parts of the world way down there. Just take a quick boat ride down to Antarctica, right? Let's see here. It was given a Cobra 29, but it does not receive transmissions. Oh, boy. Take it, open it up, and spray some cleaner into the contacts for all the knobs and stuff. That's the first place to start. If that doesn't work, leave the cover off, get yourself a magnifying glass and a flashlight, and look at all the little solder joints where the joints are. And if you see little cracks around those, take a soldering iron, heat it up until it melts back solid. That fixes about 90% of the radios that I come across. Take care, Mr. Ferris. Really like my videos and live chats. I appreciate that, TCB. Man, Encore Western, yeah. I used to have cable for a few years when I lived back as a bachelor, but I haven't had cable in years. Just money's money, and kind of like I was talking with Austin. If you learn that what money you make, you hold on to it tight, and you only spend it on the things you absolutely have to. Or in my case, and in Austin's case, it sounded like from some of his videos, you take that money and you reinvest it, and that doesn't mean putting it into the stock market, which is it's just organized gambling, really. You take your money and you put it into objects that you can then turn around and resell for more money. So it's a win-win, because you can take that money and you buy something like a radio or like this collection that I just picked up last week, and you play with those. So you get personal enrichment out of it. But then on top of that, when you're done playing with those, and then when they've run their course, you could resell those things and let someone else enjoy it and make money. So it's a great time to be an entrepreneur in this country. Unfortunately, there's just not enough of us doing that. 113 in Southwest LA. Whew, brother. Yeah, this guy, I-386, talking about FTA dishes. My last house, I had an 8-foot satellite dish, like those old big, I think they call it the Bud, the big ugly dish. And we use that for free to air stuff, man. That was great. There's all kinds of, foreign and weird and offbeat channels up there, free for the taking. It's not illegal. They're just up there. You just scan the satellites. Really cool. How far am I from the network stations? Okay, so by the way the crow flies, 16 to 22 miles. Unfortunately, I've got one of the largest over-the-air antennas you can get, and I still only pick up 3 stations, only 2 in the wintertime. Oh, now they have substations, but only 2 carrier stations. And that's because of the mountains. I'm at 3,400 feet, and the mountain less than a mile from my house, which is the NC Tennessee line, is 4,500 feet. So it blocks pretty much everything. So that's why I have such a hard time about Lee Van Cleef and Clint Eastwood. Hell yeah, buddy. All the spaghetti westerns are the way to go. 741 saying there's nothing worth watching on cable anyway. Yeah, pretty much. I agree. It seems like the only thing that's on cable is commercials. Any solar projects in the future? Yes, but I've had to push them back a year. The garage project was more expensive than I had budgeted for. Still got some work to do on the lower barn, so won't be anything this year. But hopefully next spring, yeah, I'd like to add about 3,000 watts. And I don't know, everyone, it's so much cheaper to do a grid tie, but I'd like to do a battery, and that is a lot of money. So battery setup would be a big bucks, but that's my dream. Bug dish, yeah, big ugly dish. US dash camera. What's up with your videos have helped me learn a lot about radios. Thanks for all the in-depth info. Well, I'm glad you got use out of it. I enjoy talking about it, and apparently people enjoy watching this stuff. I do a 300-foot tower. I'll get started on that one. It might take a while. Yeah, the bad thing, TV going digital, I'd hated, but I also love it. I have 2.5 million views. Wow. As far as digital TV, I hated it, but I love it in the sense that now if I only get one channel, I get channel 5. Now I get 3 channels because it's 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3. And so Comment, which is my new favorite station here to watch them, when I'm getting ready for bed, is 5-3. So you lost access to some of the analog stations that would have come in fuzzy and now don't come in at all, but you kind of make up for it by gaining back new stations that you probably wouldn't have ever seen on the air. That's back in the old UHF, old independent UHF station days, getting stuff like Comment. Austin's saying I had 2.5 or 2.2 million views. I don't know how that happened, Austin, but I'll take it. And keep at it. That's the beautiful thing about YouTube is you just never know, man. You wake up one morning and one of your videos goes viral, and all of a sudden, bang! It's crazy. He lives in this guy. Push-up hole here, and to be honest with you, probably would have had the same effect, but I just like to do stuff the hard way, I guess. 741 green. Wow. Mike's saying his investment into solar brought his electrical bill down from $280 to $48 a month. So, Mike, do you have a grid tie system? Is that what you have? And how many watts did you get? Because I'm just kind of curious about that. The Virginian too. Yeah, I watched that one. Yep. Spaghetti westerns were awesome, though. I mean, even the one, there were some that were real cheesy, but I enjoyed all those. They're just good stuff to watch on a Saturday afternoon. I was lucky. My dad, we'd get back from church on Sundays, and my dad would watch old black and white westerns and black and white serials and stuff like that on the local TV that we had growing up, and I kind of got into that, so I've stayed into that. And I think, I can't imagine what kids watch these days compared to that. But I grew up on Gilligan's Island and. Oh God, what's the one with all the kids? Oh, can't believe I'm drawing a blank on that. The Brady Bunch. There it is. So, Todd says, 30-foot Rome Tower. Sweet, man. I would love that. Austin's heading out. Yeah, we got like 2 minutes to go, and I'm gonna head to bed, man. I got other stuff I gotta do. Austin, take care of yourself. Seriously, and I'm not saying this as a joke, but if you want to call and talk to me personally about some of my military career and some advice I have for you, and maybe if you want to think about some of the careers in the military you're interested in, I could probably help you out greatly with maybe guiding you down that path. But I wish you the best of luck. Life can be real tough sometimes. I hope you don't let it, weigh you down. You seem like a pretty smart guy. Watching some of your videos on what you do on the side, what your job is and stuff. Really, that's a great talent. So don't underestimate yourself. Seriously, man. And take care of yourself, bud. Oh, Marianne all the way. Somebody's come on now. Come on. Really, Brad? Is there ever a choice there? It's Marianne. Let's get real. Did you ever see the one where Gilligan, where they almost got off the island and Gilligan foiled it? Man, I don't remember that episode. I mean, what must have been last season or something? I don't know. Oh gosh, I agree, Marianne. Yeah, Marianne. Yeah, Marianne 24/7. Yep. Mrs. Howell. Oh gosh. Okay. Look, we got. All right. I'm already over 2 hours, but I'm going to call this right now. But let me ask you guys a question because I had this conversation with my wife of all people, and other than her just shaking her head, she didn't have much to say. But I don't know how many of y'all watched Married with Children when you were younger or remember that show, but you had Peg. So you had Peg and you had the daughter, Kelly. Right. So as a kid growing up watching that show, oh, Kelly, oh my gosh, she's so hot. Oh gosh, Kelly this, Kelly that. That's all I can think about. As an adult, I watch that show now, and all I can think about is Peg. So here is my parting question for everyone. Kelly or Peg? I'll give you all 60 seconds to figure it out, and then I'm out of here, man. I've had a great time. Peg! Well, yeah, both's not an option. You got to choose, man. Can't have it both ways. While you're doing that, I'm going to try the radio one more time because I do hear some people talking. 39, lower sideband. Here we go. One last try. CQDX. This is Farpoint Farms in the mountains of North Carolina. Farpoint Farms 707 trying. Mike, cool. Grid system. Okay, well, that's good to know because that's something I've been thinking about. CQDX. This is Farpoint Farm 707 in the mountains of North Carolina trying for a break. William. My gosh, man. Look at this guy. Future. Guys, that's it. I have really enjoyed this evening. I've enjoyed talking with all of you, and I hope we can do this again maybe in 2 weeks. I will let everyone know on both Facebook and here, and I appreciate each and every one of you coming to my page. It's amazing that I'm able to make a few bucks a month doing this, although that is not the main reason I come on here. It does help me afford to do fun stuff like the radios and some much-needed upgrades. So that's it. I'm Eric, owner of Farpoint Farms. We have been at this for over 2 hours, and I hope you all have a good night. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Take care.